Hi, everybody. This is Karen Palmer, your host of Living on Purpose TV. And at first, I would just love to thank you for being a part of the Living on Purpose community. It is such a beautiful family that we've created here of people who want to live with more purpose. And each week, I feel so blessed and honored to bring to you these incredible guests who are giving their secrets away to how they've become successful and how they've been able to use their own action steps and their own strategies to create the life that they've been dreaming of. So it's exciting to me to be able to bring this knowledge and this wisdom to you on a weekly basis so that you can apply these beautiful action steps to your life. The whole purpose of this show is for me to be able to give back because I've learned so much in my experiences and I've been able to really live the dream life that I only dreamed was possible a few short years ago. And so it's really exciting for me to bring to you these incredible people that I get to meet and really connect with. And so I'd love to introduce you to my friend Lynnie and have her explain to you a little bit about the work that she does in the world and why it's purposeful. Also, Lynnie, could you give us a little bit of information about how people can get in touch with you? Thanks.
Sure. I'm Lynnie Wennerstrom, creator of CrazyAwesomeHealthyYou.com and author of the book, 7 Simple Steps to a Crazy Awesome Healthy You. And the reason I wrote that book is because I was a very, very ill person. I mean, so ill that I was literally dying. My organs were shutting down. And I had horrible migraines and chronic back pain. And I had COPD, mild COPD, which I've been able to work through. And life was just not worth living. I tried to commit suicide on many an occasion. Life just wasn't fun. I didn't love myself. I wasn't happy with life. I wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't happy with what I had achieved in life because it felt like nothing. And so I just decided to start living when I was dying. So I had to figure out a way to live, and so I did, and I took everything that I learned because I was so sick. I wanted to become a healthy person, and so I started studying and taking online courses and attending lectures and reading books like you would not believe. I have a library like, woo, really big, and online digital, and I mean all kinds of stuff, and rivals a doctor or something. And it's just been a very long trip. But what I found in this journey is that it all boils down to, in my opinion, 7 simple steps. Health is not like a humongous, confusing, or it feels so confusing, but it's not. It really comes down to some 7 fundamentals in my mind. So I wrote a book, 7 Simple Steps to a Crazy Awesome Healthy You. I just synthesized everything down into those 7 steps, and that's how that's how it all started. I wanted to share that with everybody.
And then from there it grew into a business. So you help clients who are struggling with those same pain points.
I do, and I think that the beauty of what I do is the whole focus started to become, I volunteer at a food bank on Fridays, and those people, the book was, I kind of wrote that, not kind of, I wrote that with, part of the intention was that a portion of those proceeds would go to purchase, once I understood the food system and what we were putting into our bodies and how harmful it was, all the processed foods and the genetically modified foods and all of those things, and why we are so depleted in nutrients. I wanted to be able to give back to the clients in our food bank, and so a portion of the proceeds of my book goes to Covenant Cupboard, which is something a cause very important to me. And then the other part that has kind of evolved, which I just love, is that and what I focused on and what I continue to focus on is I focus on women. And the reason I do is because we are the influencers in the home. we are the ones who go out and make decisions on what we bring into the home. We're the ones that decide, like for our children, for our husbands. And I'm not saying everybody, so I don't want to get anybody on their bandwagon. I'm not on a bandwagon, but it's just more about that. For the most part, we are the ones who influence in the home, and so it's been just such a joy and a blessing to help women, because I see them helping their children, and they're telling their friends, and it's like this ripple of health that is happening, and it brings me so much joy and happiness every time I see a little ripple that I have helped to create, because I know it's continuing to ripple into the world, and it brings me intense, incredible joy and happiness.
Yay for intense, incredible joy and happiness. We need more of that in the world. So yay,
Yeah.
that is so awesome. That is so awesome. And you're so right. We women are the hub of the home. We are the, the center spoke in the wheel. And
Right.
we do kind of make things go around. And,
Exactly.
when we start to be healthy, I know that when my daughter, really started getting into learning about being health conscious, it really had a ripple effect on me. I had always thought I was really health conscious, but her generation, she's 19, had so much more knowledge about about our food source, and how dangerous our food source really was. And the way that I grew up was just really, my mom didn't have a whole lot of consciousness in the foods that we ate. And a lot of times I didn't realize how unhealthy I was until I grew up and was purchasing the foods. And then I started buying organic myself, and started juicing and doing all that I did when I found out that I was sick. And same thing. So,
yeah.
It's really exciting for, to know that this is rippling out in the way that it is. And I do feel it. I do feel the ripple. I do feel it's definitely changed. When I started my journey, just learning about a little bit about the our food source, and how to really change the way that I was eating, I didn't realize how incredibly powerful my consumer decisions were in the way that food was being produced. The more people who get involved with our food production, and saying, I'm not going to buy that because of my consumer buying power. That's what I talk to the kids about when I go out to the schools, because I tell them how powerful they really are. I call them their superheroes. That's your superhero power. So one thing that I would love to hear about, I thank you so much for sharing so authentically your story. Is there some stumbling block that came up along the way when you were starting your business, or when you decided to even go in this direction, that you were able to turn that stumbling block into a stepping stone for your business? Is there some way that you could help somebody, just like we were talking about, to avoid a pothole? If we are just a little further along than some of the people who are listening right now, and somebody who is listening is saying to themselves, if Lynnie can do that, I want to learn how to do that too. What would you say to that person if they were standing right in front of you?
I would say, first of all, I am a common sense health expert. And I would say, yes, you can. You can do it. Yes, you can. I did it. I guess I didn't say that I overcame all of that, right? I changed my diet, and I overcame all of that. And so the stumbling block that I had was the self-hatred. I didn't love myself. And I didn't realize, I didn't realize that was my reality, right? I was in this victim mindset that life sucks. Oh my God, another thing has befallen me. What am I going to do now?
Waiting for the next shoe to drop.
Now I'm really dying, and now what? My organs are shutting down. It's like I had to come to reality. I basically just had to learn to become healthy, and that was that was my business. My stumbling block was my health, right? Self-hatred and learning to love myself, and learning health, learning how to up my health my game of health, because if here's what I believe: if you're not healthy, you're not happy. Because and I know this maybe doesn't go so much into business, but it does. And
It
this is the thing
does.
I think that some people don't really realize, because we're all so busy. We're all just like, there's so much, and we feel so overwhelmed. And when we don't take time to just stop and to say, what are we putting into our bodies? What are we putting on our bodies? Like all the lotions and the perfumes with all the phthalates and what are we doing? Because those are the things that are overloading our body with toxins, and they're slowing us down. They're slowing down our brains. They're stopping us. They're putting those themselves are putting blocks in front of our physically in front of us, and it's harder to do everything.
Right.
So that to me was, my health was my stumbling block. And then okay, now going into business was actually writing the book. That was a stumbling block. Like, what do you say? So sometimes you just have to stop and take count of who you are, where you're at, and then start down your journey. Just to start down your path to where you want to go. You have to set your intention, not just an intention, because I don't believe in ask and you shall receive. I truly believe in give and you shall receive. And when you begin and when you start giving, you just start seeing things come to you. And I'm even talking about, this might sound kind of out there, but I'm even talking about the universe. You give, you give up, you open up, you open it up and let love in, and then you let the download of inspiration and guidance happen. And that helped me down my path. That helped me with what I actually wrote in the book. And
Absolutely.
It's not like you don't do a lot of work, but so I don't know if that answered your question.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Answered it perfectly. And I don't think that's woo-woo at all. I believe that the universe does have our back. And I do believe that it's all rigged in our favor. And it's all been, there's a conspiracy that the universe is working with us. We have invisible helpers. We have incredible teams that are working with us. And when we start to believe in ourselves, we totally start to move those wheels in the direction of that. And that's the experience that I had. And I loved your chapter on mindset. I thought that it was so relevant and so important. And I couldn't put the book down, honestly. I thought it was really, it was, yeah. I'll be happy to, if you want, I'd be happy to write a review for you on Amazon too. So just
I would love that.
Yeah, send me the link, or I'll make sure to do that. But okay, so let's get into the top 3 or as many action steps as you would like to share. If there's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever you want to do. What I love to do is really give people some steps, a formula. I asked people at the beginning of the show, when I started the show, to make a notebook and have a journal, so that this is their private time and their time to dream their big dreams and to take those action steps, because a dream is something that's been placed in your heart for you to achieve. The reason that dream has been put there is because it's doable for you, and action steps will get you there. So what would you say would be an action step for somebody who is has the interests that are, wanting to even start a business of just being of a help to others?
Journaling is a really good one. I mean, I'm so glad you
do that, right?
No, but yes, every single day. But
don't you have a webinar that's going to be coming out with a journaling?
I do.
Yeah.
I do, actually. Yes, I do.
So we'll put that in the link. I'll put that in the link when we send this out. Yeah.
Perfect. But I'm glad you have your viewers and listeners doing that, because that is one of the things that really saved me, was journaling. Because when you don't know yourself, here's the thing. People say, well, follow your passion. It's like, well, what am I passionate about? Who am I? I mean, I was fired from my jobs. I was dying. I was like, it's like, well, who am I now? If I'm not this sick person, if I'm not this, radio broadcaster, who am I? And because I didn't know who I was, I didn't have my identities. So I think that the first action step I would give is know your why. like, why are you doing it? You know, what is so important to you that becomes your why? Like, why do I want to get healthy, or why do I want to write a book, or like, you know, why do I want to write an online course, or why do I want to help volunteer somewhere, or be an entrepreneur? Whatever it is you do, why do I want to be the best mother in the world? Whatever it is, what is your why? What is that? Because when you identify that, that is your driver, that is your motivation, and you can always have that like front and center. And when you know your why, then you'll always, it'll be your motivation, and it'll just keep you moving forward. So that would be my very first one. And journaling it every single day is until you get there, because it took me a very long time to find my why. I kept saying, okay, is it my daughter? Is it my life? Is it my, what was it? And it was a journey. Everything is a journey, right? And it has lots of twists and turns. And so it takes a while. It's not just something, I mean, if one of your viewers, you know, if somebody knows what their why is, like, more power to you, you know. But I didn't, and I don't, you know, sometimes it just takes a while to figure it out. So I would say don't get, you know, don't get overwhelmed or frustrated, or, you know, feel like you're less than somebody else because you don't know what your why is. And those things are really important.
Have fun discovering your why, huh? Have fun with it.
Yes.
Why is such a fun question. It's such
it really is.
I love that question. And I go into it every day especially when I feel overwhelmed. I go into, I go really into my breath. I go really into my body, and I really search. Why do I feel this way right now? And what can I do to reach for a better feeling than overwhelm, you know? Because if we're just conscious of it, it doesn't take over us.
That's getting present. And that is awesome, girlie. I love getting present. That's a whole nother topic. I can go there any day. Okay. So let me see. Okay, so number 2, I have so many, so I had to write down a few. But I kind of went over this already, but, well, I guess I didn't. But if you don't know what your purpose is already, I guess I didn't. But if you don't know what your purpose is, like, I didn't know what my purpose was, but you have to start somewhere. And so create identities for yourself. Like, look for something that somebody has told you about yourself that you like, you know, when they say, oh, you're really talented at this, or you know, something, or you just admire something in somebody else. Like, for me, I was a very ill person, and I was so tired. I used to be a competitive bodybuilder, and I knew what health was. Well, at least I didn't then, but I mean, now I know I didn't, but I thought I did. But I felt really good, right? Now I feel like 10,000 million times better, because now I know a lot more. But I admired healthy people. I wanted to be healthy. And so my identity became, I am a healthy person.
Yes.
And so I would write that.
Rock that.
Every day.
Rock that.
I write it. every morning. And I don't write I'm a healthy person still anymore, because I am a healthy person. I mean, you step into that identity. That's what happens. You don't have to write that anymore. Now I'm writing I am an organized person. But you just find an identity, you know, and things that you identify with, and then you set standards so that you can hold yourself accountable and know where you're at. So my standard was, I always drink 3 quarts of water a day, and I always eat non-GMO foods. I always try and put it in the positive. So I don't ever eat, or I never eat, you know, I mean, however you want to do, whatever works for you. But so those were like, I don't eat genetically modified foods. So those were some of the things and also I always do 5 minutes of exercise, because I could barely walk down the stairs. So it took me, so 5 minutes was like enough for me then. But those were my standards, and I set those standards for myself, and then that helped me to step into that healthy identity. So every day I did my exercise, every day I ate good foods, and foods that were going to nourish me and help me to thrive. And I stepped into that identity, and I hydrated, and I feel like, like that.
Yeah.
So create an identity. So step 2, or that my action step would be, create an identity for yourself, or more. I mean, I had like don't get overwhelmed. I wouldn't do more than 3 when you first start because
Yeah.
it gets crazy. And then my third one is love yourself first and foremost. Learn to become your biggest cheerleader. It is so important that nobody cares more about you than you, right? So, and you can pay somebody enough to care about you. They'd love your money, but there it is, and they'd be very, helpful to you, but they're not going to care about like your innermost needs and everything else. You do. You know what you need, and
Right.
so that would be my third action step, is to every day. One thing that well, actually, several things, but the one thing I do at night, every single night, is I either write or I go over in my head, because I don't have to always write it out anymore, although it's a very good thing, to write out what I did to move myself forward that day that makes me feel good. Because some days, you just feel like, God, I didn't get anything done today that I wanted to,
Yeah.
and here's your list, and not one single thing is checked off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, most people love checklists and they check them off, and they're really, I shouldn't say most people, but most people I know, they've checked them off. At least they say they do. And I'm looking at my list like, oh my God, I didn't get another thing done. And so I have to go on those days when that happens, and I just say, it's just like, well, I hydrated today.
Uh-huh.
I go back to the very basics. I went to the food bank today and I helped lots of people. I
Which
did,
is awesome.
I fed the dogs, and I petted them, and I ran outside with them, and those kinds of things. It's just like, I hugged my hubby, or called my daughter. Just back to the basics. And that is like one thing, because then you go to bed and you've got the oxytocin going on, and the hormone, and you're
Yeah.
feeling good, and it's like, yeah, so then you're back to your biggest cheerleader, and you go to sleep like this, like, oh man, I am so freaking awesome. And then I mean, how can you not?
Right.
And the things that you didn't get done, they'll be there tomorrow, and
Yes.
then you start again. And then this is another part of that, is also I look in the mirror and I say, I love you, Lynnie. And I look in the mirror, and it took me a while, because I
Me
want to
too.
look away. Like,
Mhm.
what? I'd look deep into my own eyes, and I'd say, I love you, Lynnie. And
Yeah.
then pretty soon, now, it seems so corny and kind of strange and very uncomfortable. And pretty soon now it's like, I do love you, Lynnie. I was like,
Mhm.
I love myself. And, and it just helps it. It reinforces it. And literally, biologically, physiologically, it really gets the neurons and everything, the neurotransmitters going. And pretty soon it becomes a habit, and it becomes like part of you, and you start believing it, and you feel it, and it becomes you. It's kind of like building your own identity. And then it's like,
Right.
wow, you rock. So
Right.
those are my action steps.
That's so awesome. And that mirror work, I do the same thing. And Lisa Nichols had a program that she was teaching that really totally changed my life when I started doing this. And it's just a matter of making myself a priority and making it important. And every morning, if I do this, it really does have a difference in the type of day that I have. So
Yeah.
I look at myself and I say, I'm proud of you. I forgive you, and I
Nice.
commit to you. And then I give myself one thing that I'm proud of, one thing that I am forgiving myself for, and then one thing that I commit to myself. And when I do that, I really feel that I really do have amazing days, when I take the time and make myself a priority. That's one of
I
the
love
reasons
that.
why I decided to do this show, was because first and foremost, I know that I'm a very busy person too, but I wanted to give back. And I really wanted to be able to help other women and men and teenage girls, people who, are struggling with, what is my purpose? Where, what is a purpose? What is that? Because I remember what it felt like when I didn't know. And I remember how lonely that felt. And that's why I wanted to create this community. So thank you so much,
Nice.
Lynnie, for being with us. What an
You're welcome.
incredible what an incredible inspiration you are. And I hope that people will take the time to reach out to you, and we'll put together all the programs that you do have available, and make sure that we have ways. And if you have like a free gift or something that you'd like to offer, we'll put that in the link too. So anything you'd like to say in closing?
Well, I would like to tell your viewers and listeners about my online course, which is the foundation of the book. It's Superwoman Health, Energy, and Vitality, a complete plan and guide, and it has everything that I'm sharing with you today. It's all in there. It's in my book, and it's all in that course. And it is there's a very private Facebook community in there where you can ask me anything as part of the course, and and ask the community in there, because we all have to help each other. And the reason I created that course is because sometimes you read a book and you get into it and you really feel it, and it inspires you to move forward. But one of the things that even though I read books and I watched Oprah and I watched Dr. Oz and I watched The Doctor, I watched all these shows, I would get like so inspired and like, okay, I can do this, and then the show's over, and then all of a sudden I lost that feeling. And so that course I created so that women have a place they can put a chat in the Facebook community. They can be part of it and not feel like, okay, it's over now. I'm no longer inspired.
That's so awesome. Yeah, so we'll put that link in there too, and then I'll get all that stuff together, and we will. So anything that you'd like to say in closing?
Okay, yeah, now in closing, I'm sorry. I can go on and on and on. Yeah, in closing, you can do it, girlie. I'm talking to whoever's watching, or guy, but I'm like all about the women, because we are the hub, as you said. But yes, you can do it. Whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it, not just because I did it and Karen did it, but because you can do it. So you shine your light, and be like your most positive, awesome self. And that's the story, because we're all here supportive of you, and we want to lift you, because that's what it's all about, is lifting you to be your highest self. And we want to be here and be part of that for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lynnie. Thanks, you guys, for listening. Thanks for watching, and thanks for making yourself an important part of your own life. And you are a priority, and we love you. Thanks for being a part of our community. Let's keep living on purpose.